Yo guys, welcome back to my second tutorial on the channel. If you haven't checked the first one, it's about aerial car control and it is a prerequisite to this tutorial. Essentially meaning that if you followed and reached somewhat a proficient level of all of the steps in that tutorial, then you've essentially qualified to take part in this tutorial. Obviously, if you have not completed it, then you can still follow this tutorial, but keep in mind that you might struggle more than you think. Anyway, there are two parts to this tutorial: air dribbling with no air roll, and then we'll take a look at air dribbling with air roll. It'll mainly be focused on wall to air dribbles, and I might leave the ground to air dribble for another time. The training pack code will be in the top right of this video, and it's shot 7, so yep, let's just jump straight into it. Alright, so step 1, what you're essentially going to do, as you can see here, is you are simply going to drive up the wall, hit the ball towards as close as you can possibly get towards the net. You're not going to jump, none of that, right? You're just going to drive up, hit the ball, and just try to hit the ball somewhere around the net. Just nice and easy. The goal here is you should be able to do this 10 times on each side before you progress on to the next step. So you'll do it 10 times here in a row, and then when you move on to the opposite side, so when you press down on the D-pad, you can mirror the shot as you can see here, and then you'll do the exact same thing on the other side. The purpose of this tutorial is to make sure you essentially master both sides of the wall and not make you comfortable on just one side. So here, as you can see, just booming the ball like a little boom, just popping it up towards the net here, and then the purpose of this is simply to get you comfortable with the setup and getting that feeling of just hitting the ball towards the net. Okay, so with step 2, what we're going to be doing next, as you can see, is we will start to jump as we hit the ball. So here we are jumping as we hit the ball. So we hit the ball and then we jump almost like a millisecond after we hit the ball, we jump. Now, there are two things that we're looking for here to make sure that it's a successful attempt. The first one is still to make sure that the ball is being popped towards the net, similar to step number 1. But also part of step number 2 is to make sure that when you do pop the ball, you want to make sure that your car is still behind the ball. So as you can see here, when we pop the ball, our car's momentum, because of going up the ramp and the speed, is still behind the ball. Our car is still behind the ball, and that's what you want it to be. So 1, the ball is still heading towards the opponent's net, and 2, the car's momentum and the car is behind around like a meter behind the ball or even closer, right? You don't want to be too far behind. You want to be somewhat close. That way, when we boost later on in the further steps, you will see how we can kind of get to the ball. And don't forget, you need to do this 10 times on each side of the wall without a fail. If you fail on 7th attempt or 8th attempt, you have to start again from number 1. Okay, so step 3, what you're going to be doing here is we're going to start to incorporate a little bit of air roll and boost to hit the ball. So after you've mastered step 1 and step 2, the next thing you're going to do is after you pop up the ball, you're going to use your air roll right to align your car directly with the ball. So the nose, as you can see here, should be in line with the ball. Once you're able to do that, then you're just going to simply boost to the ball and just hit it once, right? And you can just aim it somewhere around the net. If you get it in the net, perfect. If it's just slightly above the net, that's fine too, right? So here, now we're starting to practice just to reach the ball. And this is going to be by just air rolling and then hitting the ball once with boost. And once you do the left side, so here, then you will start to do air roll left. This way you will start to practice your air roll left button and your air roll right, which is highly recommended to try to do both. I know a lot of pro players only use one, but I think if you really want to be optimal, it's really good just to learn 2. So here, air roll left, and then just little boost, get to the ball, and just hit it once. That's all you need to do. Just air roll left, hit the ball once, and that's it. If you can do that 10 times in a row without fail on both sides of the wall, then you can proceed on to the next step. Okay, so step 4 is going to be exactly the same as step 3, but we're going to be learning to hit the ball twice instead of once. And honestly, it's not that difficult. So you're going to be doing exactly the same thing. You should be really comfortable at being able to hit the ball once before proceeding to this step. And all you're essentially going to do is once you hit the ball, as in like once you pop the ball up and you boost towards it, as you're boosting towards the ball, let go of boost and just do a single soft tap. And once you do that soft tap, use your boost to then catch up to the ball to do a second touch. The goal here is that we're so slowly, incrementally trying to learn to air dribble by getting at least 2 touches to the ball. So we boost to reach the first touch, and then as we get towards the first touch, we let go of boost and let the car's momentum to take a soft touch. And then once we push the ball further, then we boost again to catch up to it to hit it again. So as long as you can do this again 10 times on each side in a row without fail, and you're able to get 2 touches on the ball 10 times in a row on each side, then you pass and then you can now move on to the next step. Step 5 is going to essentially be the exact same thing as step 4, except that we are now going to transition into getting 3 touches. This is going to be the most difficult step because getting 3 touches is not going to be easy. But the technique and the tip is exactly the same, right? It's just now you boost into the ball, soft touch, boost again, soft touch, and then boost again to get the final touch. So this is more about you getting a feel of what the air dribble is like, getting those close soft touches to make sure the ball is fairly close to your car and you're able to essentially control it in the air. And that's basically what we want to go for. If you're able to consistently get 3 touches on an air dribble every single time, then obviously your air dribble is going to start to reach a level where it becomes really threatening in a game. So exactly the same thing as the previous step. It's going to be 3 touches this time. The same goals again, which is 3 touches, 10 attempts, or 10 times in a row completion without fail on both sides of the wall, and then you can proceed to the next step. Okay, so step number 6, this is where things will get a little bit more difficult, but we're taking our air dribbles to the next level. So now, after you've completed and mastered step 5, we are now going to start air dribbling backwards. So here we pop the ball up, step 1 and step 2 in terms of the setup exactly the same. We just pop the ball and we jump, and then we just air roll a little bit, and I'll basically try to your best to get your car backwards. This might be a step that some of you guys might find difficult, but if you manage to do the prerequisite, which is obviously the aerial car control tutorial, then going backwards shouldn't be too difficult for you guys. So then doing this exercise shouldn't be that difficult. It will still be a challenge, but it won't be as difficult. So here, exactly the same thing, going for 3 touches backwards. If you can get maybe 2 touches, that's also fine. 10 times in a row without fail on both sides of the wall. If you can do that, you pass. Step 7, after you've mastered going backwards, we're now going to proceed to learn about air dribbling towards the right side and the left side. So here on the right wall, I'm using air roll right to make sure my car is basically on the right side of the ball. And we're going to dribble it doing it this way. Basically right side, but like sideways. As you guys can see, I'm kind of going sideways, but making sure that I can only see 2 of my wheels as much as I can. I can only see 2 of my wheels. Then you know you basically got the right position. So you're going to be working on this, and then obviously on the left side of the wall, you'll be using air roll left, making sure that your wheels are on the other side. So take a look at this example, air roll left. And then fixing my car, this was a bit of a mistake. So here, fixing my car here, and then just aiming the ball straight into the net. This is going to be really awkward. It's going to be really, really awkward to do. But again, if you can master this, it gives you that 360-degree car control that you need, especially with your air dribbles, meaning that even if you get an awkward setup in a game, it won't be that awkward for you because you'll be able to deal with an air dribble situation from pretty much any position, no matter how awkward it looks. So again, 10 times on each wall without fail. And if you can do that, you move on to the next step. Step number 8 is going to be exactly the same as step number 7, except that we're going to be air rolling the opposite way on the right wall. So on the previous step, we did arrow right on the right wall, but now we're going to be using arrow left and hitting the ball sideways like this, as you can see here. So again, it's just the same reason. We're just reinforcing that 360-degree card control, air dribbling in very like awkward positions, awkward situations. That way, your air dribbling abilities will just reach a new high if you're able to master this. So exactly the same thing. And then when you do the opposite side of the wall, it's going to be the other arrow button. So let's just take a look at what I do here. Okay, maybe I do one more. This was pre-recorded, so hopefully when we go to the other side. Okay, here we go. All right, so here we use arrow right just to make sure that we're facing sideways. And yeah, it's exactly the same thing. Basically, it's just you're going to be using the other opposite arrow on the opposite wall. So just to make sure that we're getting that full coverage of the air dribble in this step. So yeah, same rules again, 10 times in a row. You guys get it by now. So make sure you guys do it. Don't cut any corners. Make sure you grind this out. And if you can do it, then we can move on to the final step of this part of air dribbling with no air roll. Now, step 9, the final step, what you're going to do is you're going to head into free play and practice all of the 4 maneuvers: forward, sideways to the right, sideways to the left, right wall, and backwards. And your goal here is to score at least 5 shots in a row. So going forward in a row in free play without failing once. So if you fail, then you gotta basically reset and do 5 in a row. The purpose of this free play activity is so that you get used to your own setups. If you notice with the training pack, you had a setup that was kind of there for you. But in this one, what you're going to do is you're going to generate your own setups. And this is going to be super important. You're basically putting everything together that you've learned so far. But instead, it's going to be the setups that's going to give you probably the biggest issue here, because it's going to be something you haven't practiced yet. And this is why I left it till last, because I do think the setup is the easiest one to learn. But now that you've mastered all of the 4 maneuvers and you have really good aerial car control, and you've mastered all of the steps necessary beforehand, now you can just go into free play and grind it out until you're very comfortable with your setup. And you can explore with different setups. Go to the corner, go close to the net. Different setups obviously make it a lot better for you. All right, so step 1 to the air roll method is what you're essentially going to be doing is, as you go up and you pop the ball and you boost towards the ball, just before you hit the ball, you're going to press your air roll right button a quarter turn just before you hit the ball. The reason for this is for you to kind of get used to hitting your air roll button as you're also air dribbling at the same time. But it's not too drastic from the previous steps, the air dribbling with no air roll, to the point where it might throw you off. You're just going to do exactly the same thing as you did in the previous steps, but this time you're just going to air roll right just a quarter turn and then hit the ball, and then another quarter turn and then hit the ball again. And similar to the previous steps, do this 10 times in a row without fail on both sides of the wall, and that should be it. Step 2 is going to be exactly the same as step 1, except that on the right wall, you're going to be using the quarter turn using air roll left. So it's essentially exactly the same as step 1, but this time we are just practicing our air roll left instead of our air roll right. Again, just trying to be proficient in both usage of the air rolls. So start with the right wall 10 times in a row without fail, and then do the left wall again using air roll left, and making sure that we do not mess up, do not fail. Quarter turn. If you do half a turn, that's also fine. It's not a big deal. But if you can do quarter turn, that would be ideal. Step 3, this is where things will get a little bit more difficult. So what we're going to be doing here is you're going to pop the ball as normal. However, you're going to do a full spin. So as you can see here, we hit the ball, do a full spin. And then when we're tracking the ball, I do not want you guys to track the ball with air roll. Track the ball normally, right? So I hit the ball once and then just track it normally as if you're just flying to the ball neutral, in like a neutral position. Again, the purpose of this now is that we're getting used to holding our arrow, doing a full spin, whilst also tracking the ball, but tracking the ball in a neutral position. Do not use your arrow to track the ball. Just track it normally as you did in the no arrow steps that you did previously. So here you pop the ball up, hit the ball with a full spin, and then track the ball normally, and then hit the ball again with a full 360-degree spin. Same thing again, 10 times on each side of the wall without fail before you proceed to the next step. The purpose of this is quite simple now. We're just getting used to the full rotation of the air roll whilst tracking the ball, and this eventually is going to build up for when we eventually start to learn to continuously air roll in the future. Step 4 is going to be exactly the same as step number 3, except that on the right wall, you're going to be using a full turn with air roll left, because I think I didn't mention in the previous step, but you're going to be using air roll right. But here we're going to be using air roll left. It's exactly the same thing, guys. It's just now practicing your air roll left button instead of your air roll right, getting that proficiency in both air rolls over here. And yeah, if you guys can do both sides 10 times in a row without fail, then you guys can move on to the next step. Step 5. Now it's basically time to continuously air roll whilst we air dribble, to not just hit the ball, but also track it with your air roll right button. Here, this is going to be a combination of what we've learned in the aerial card control tutorial, plus all of the exercises that you've done so far in this tutorial. This part will require the most practice and time. There isn't any specific tips to give here, except probably using slow motion. But like I said, if you've mastered air roll right in the aerial card control video, then this shouldn't take too long to do or learn. If you haven't mastered your aerial card control, especially air roll right, this will take a very long time to learn. But again, do this 10 times in a row on both sides without fail. And yeah, if you are going to do this and you haven't really practiced the aerial card control tutorial that I've done previously, like I said, you will struggle. So this is going to build in everything that we've learned so far, including the first tutorial on my channel. So yeah, spend a lot of time on this. Use slow motion if you have to. It will be the most difficult step in this entire video, but you guys can do it. And yeah. Step 6, exactly the same as step 5. We're just going to be using continuous air roll, now using air roll left instead of air roll right. So nothing really changes, guys. Just use air roll left, master your air roll left 10 times in a row, both sides of the wall. You guys know the gist by now. So make sure you complete both of these steps. Once you're able to complete both of these steps, then you're going to be on track to mastering how to air dribble. Step 7. The final step, similar to the final step of the non-air roll tip, well, not tip, but step, exactly the same. You're going to be jumping into free play, getting your own setups, and learning to continuously air roll your air dribbles, and making sure we get that nice connection on the ball and that kind of nice feeling of getting air roll right, air roll left, and getting that mastery of both of these air rolls. Again, you can use slow motion. You can use slow motion in free play if it makes your life a lot easier. You can definitely do that and slowly bump up the speed, similar to what we did in the aerial car control video tutorial. So go jump into free play, practice it a ton, spend many hours reading your air roll right, air roll left. That way you'll be used to different types of setups and it will be a lot more realistic in terms of going into your games. So yeah, guys, that's going to conclude the tutorial for the air dribble video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, this tutorial will be a lot easier if you've already mastered or you're proficient in the aerial car control video. If you're really good at your aerial car control, then air dribbling is not going to take you a lot of time to learn, especially if you follow all of these steps. The purpose of this video is to give you guys an air dribble tutorial that's basically broken down into very micro steps for you guys to master. Obviously, there's a lot of air dribble tutorials out there, and I wanted to give you guys something just a little bit different, something a bit easier to manage and follow, and I hope that I have, accomplished that. So hope you guys enjoyed it and look out for the next tutorial.